Hello, and welcome to the WWIA podcast. We're honored to have you join us in our mission to bring honor, connection, and healing to America's combat wounded Purple Heart heroes. If this is your first time listening to this podcast, we welcome you. If you're a returning listener, thanks for coming back. Please be sure to tell others about our podcast and leave us a review if you're enjoying what you're hearing. On today's episode, WWIA Founder and CEO John McDaniel is honored to spend time talking with an incredible American Patriot and Hero. Crystal Masek is a Purple Heart recipient, WWIA guide, and host of the inaugural Rocky Point Recreation Area, South Dakota Archery Antelope Hunt. Crystal proudly served in the Army Reserves for 26 years and is an avid hunter and angler who appreciates and enjoys most anything outdoors, especially new experiences in traveling. Of all of Crystal's accomplishments and successes, none of them mean more to her than her daughter Lexi, who also proudly serves our nation's armed forces as a combat medic in the U.S. Army. Let's join John and Crystal now for an outstanding conversation.
Hi, I'm John McDaniel, founder and CEO of the Wounded Warriors in Action Foundation, and this is our podcast, Honor, Connect, and Heal. And so I have with us today a very special guest, Crystal Masek, and Crystal is a Purple Heart recipient. She's been through our guide school. She's been on, 10, 15 missions for the foundation. She's starting her own mission to support combat wounded under the foundation's umbrella. She's a very accomplished sports woman, and she's a leader, a great leader, former first sergeant, retired as a master sergeant, and I'd like to welcome you, Crystal, to the program. How are you?
Good. Thank you, John, for having me.
Yeah. Well, it's great to have you. I've met you several times. The first time I met you, I was very impressed with your poise, with your leadership, and just, who you are as a person. And so, you came on to joined our ranks. I asked you to be considered going through our guide school. You were the first female to do that. So you're out there leading operations as a former soldier, master sergeant, former first sergeant, now retired. You retired in the spring of 22, and now you're running around out there, helping our combat wounded, and you're doing a great job. And I just wanted to hear from you you tell us a little bit about your experience there with the foundation, some of the things you've done, if you don't mind, please.
Sure. So I work at the nuclear plant, and I was working night shift, and I was out there browsing the computer at night looking for hunts that I could go on, and I ran across your organization just by searching for places to go hunting. And I put an application in. It was a couple months later, and Karina gave me a call, which was very soon. I was surprised, but she had a cancellation and wanted to know if I wanted to go on an alligator hunt. And I was like, oh my goodness, I've never considered killing an alligator before. Like, I'm in Missouri. So I was like, that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah.
I didn't have to think hard about it. I was like, yeah, put me on there. So I got to go on this alligator hunt. And when I was there, I got picked up by a guy in a wheelchair. And
Pat Corcoran, right? Was it Pat?
Correct.
Sergeant Major Pat Corcoran, you bet.
Yeah, and he called me prior to the event, and I was all excited. And I get there, and we went out and did the alligator hunt. And at night, we were staying in their lodge. And when I was laying there on the couch, he came over and put a blanket over me just to make sure I was warm. I was turned the other way, and I was like, man, that was just so touching.
Wow. Sergeant Major Pat Corcoran did that.
Yeah.
And he's in a wheelchair, and he did that for you.
And yeah, he's still giving back, and I was just like, man, there was just something so touching about that. And the whole time I was there, I felt like I was sitting on my hands because everybody wanted to cater to you and help you. And it's just like, I want to help, like,
Right. Wow, I know that.
I'm more of a doer than and
right.
I just kept wanting to help and nobody would let me help, So I was like, man, I got to be part of this,
Right.
And Keith Tidball was down there too.
Great American.
Yes.
Great American. Yeah.
And we were at the end of the event, we were sitting at the table kind of doing an AAR, and I happened to be there later than the other people. And I had told Keith I wanted to be part of this, and I guess he got with you. And lo and behold, I got a phone call. I was traveling to South Dakota to do antelope. I'm always out there chasing antelope, And you gave me a phone call, and I was just like, just blown away. I was like so excited. Great, maybe I'll get to do this, So that's what it was like. They, and there they had, the bank, like a dinner where everybody greeted you, and I mean, it's the first time me ever seeing how one of these events went on, and I was just, it was very heartfelt.
Yeah. Well, that's a great story. The alligator hunt. I was like we don't do it anymore. We did it for many, many years. As a matter of fact, it was one of our first missions, and it was just me and one other guy, and a boat, and some primitive weapons, and a guy who had an idea that we could do this. So I took Vic Dominguez, God bless him, Ranger, who been severely wounded, with third-degree burns over, I think, 85% of his body. God bless that man. But we went alligator hunting together, and then from there it expanded and got, we got airboat clubs involved, and the next thing you know, we're running around the swamps of Florida with, on airboats at night with primitive weapons and combat wounded, and hunting dangerous game animals. And the funny story that I like to tell about that is it's the only event that that nobody would insure. Nobody would insure that event. I think we went all the way to Lloyd's of London and said, hey, listen, this is what's going on, and I was just being honest with them, and they're like, okay, all right, airboats, got it, at night, got it. Primitive weapons, got it. Combat wounded veterans, got it. And dangerous game animals. They said, we were in for all 4 of those 5, but when you added that last one, it was the straw that broke the camel's back. So ultimately we did figure out how to get it insured. But if you start thinking about all the things that could go wrong on a mission like that, it's like going into combat, kind of, right? There's a lot going on. So you did kill an alligator, didn't you?
Yeah. And that's one thing I love about our program is we take people all over from different states, and we place them in other states to do things that they wouldn't normally hunt or fish. And like, I tried to watch some like YouTube videos because I'm like, I'm gonna look stupid. I have no idea how you kill an alligator. So people are like, haven't you seen this show or this? I'm like, I don't watch.
Well, it's different in every state. Like in Louisiana, there's a program you see on TV where they shoot them, Junior, shoot them,
Right.
But that's they can use treble hooks, right, in Louisiana, and they bait them that way, and the gators jump up, come out of the water, they smell the rotten chicken, grab it, and there's a treble hook, and it's like fishing. Then you go and dispatch the gator. But in Florida, you got to use a primitive weapon, which means you got to throw a spear at them. So it's a pretty fair chase deal going on in Florida compared to, nothing wrong with the other methods. Okay. But yeah, so I digress. Anyway, it's very interesting, and I'm glad. And not only that, but you've also, you're an accomplished, do you use the word huntress? Some women do. I don't know.
No, I don't care.
Hunter. You're an accomplished hunter. Can I just say that?
Yes.
Okay. So you are, but you've killed, and you're an archer. You're a very successful archer, which I love. I love archery. I mean, I cut my teeth on a recurve bow with wooden arrows when I was 11. I was flinging, fiberglass, arrows, wooden arrows out of a fiberglass bow from the 1940s that my dad had in the garage of all things. And that's how I cut my teeth as a traditional archer for years. And here it is. You are, I've seen all kinds of pictures, but you've killed, I don't know how many deer. Probably, you've probably killed more deer than polio has killed people. They say that I say that funny, with tongue in cheek there, but no, you killed a moose, and you've killed in terms of large game animals, you've killed a moose and you've killed an elk, both with your bow, right?
Yeah, last year was my first moose and my first elk with a bow.
It's a monster. So what's it like to be that close? I've been that close to a moose and that close to an elk, but never had the opportunity, that at that close range, take a crack at one with a bow. So just tell us real quick, what's that experience like to be that? Just talk about the moose for a minute, because that thing is like, you're a small person. That thing has got to be like, I don't know, 10 times your size or much greater. I mean, 20 times your size. So tell us, what's it like to be 50 yards from a bull moose with a bow and arrow and at full draw?
So I kind of like the military. You know how you train like you fight? Something about when I first came up on this moose, I was very calm, collective. I drew and I shot. I don't know how, like I wasn't shaking anything. But I had to get a second shot. I mean, like you said, it is a big animal. So that was, a little over 45 yards on my first shot. And then it kind of hit me like, oh my gosh, this animal is huge. And wow, I'm going to have to go,
track him?
Yeah.
Did he take off, obviously, when you took off when you shot him?
Yeah, he took off. And I'd say I was probably a little bit high, on my shot. Like when you say successful hunter, I was kind of laughing because it's kind of a relative term, for us.
Oh, for all of us. I mean, come
right?
on. Yeah. No,
yeah.
True.
I mean, that means we got the animal down, like one way or another. But right?
No, it's like me in Ranger School. I had to go through the course twice. It doesn't say recycle on the tab. Okay, just I'm a Ranger. So it's like anything else in life. You keep pursuing it until you become successful at it, right? That's it.
Yeah.
So tell us what happens.
So I had to run across the road, and I waited a while, and I just had to end up. Eventually, I went back to him and got up on him, and he was laying down hurting but not dead yet, and that was exhilarating. Right there.
Yeah, I mean, real close to an animal that large that you need to dispatch.
20 yards, with a bow. Yeah. And so the first shot, cool, calm, and collective. I'm like, did I really do that? Just training. Just
right.
The second shot, I was a little
a wreck.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Hey, I know. If your heart isn't, this last weekend I've been with one of my good buddies, Stu Strunzi, who I grew up with in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, and we hunted together from the first time that we met each other, back in basically grade school. And we were talking yesterday about the feeling that you get when you get close to a large game animal. Some people get what they call buck fever, where they can't do anything; they become paralyzed, and just start shaking uncontrollably. And I've seen it. I've seen people that get that. Now, I don't have that, but what I do have every time is an elevated heart rate, and it's exhilarating, and every sense of mine is like focused like a laser beam on what I'm about to do, because it's serious business. You're fixing to take a life, and that's serious, and it can go wrong. In lots of ways, especially with a moose, for crying out loud. If he busts you and you shoot and miss or wound him, and he decides to come at you, I mean, that could be a very, very bad day. It can kill you. I mean, it's a serious. People don't think about moose as a dangerous game animal. But when I lived up in Alaska, I was in Alaska for 4 years, I think it was, but. My next door neighbor, when I was in Fairbanks, I was both in Fairbanks and Anchorage, at different units at different times. But when I was up at Planet Fairbanks, living up there in the bush, my neighbor was a dog musher, and I got to know him fairly well, I guess. I don't know, but anyway, he was how they train their dogs. To pull four-wheelers instead of sleds something in the summertime, because they don't have snow. So he's out there training his dogs, and he comes around, and they all carry sidearms just for the fact that there's dangerous animals up there. So he comes around this corner, and standing right there on the path is a giant bull moose. And the moose are like, they don't distinguish between a wolf and an Alaskan husky. To them, they're all wolves. And they know what wolves are, and they know what wolves will run down a moose. So, and especially in the snow, so because they walk on top of it, and the moose is, post holing. So he tells this story out. The dogs get tangled up with his moose, and the moose decides to stand his ground. He's like, I'm not leaving. I'm not running. I know what happens when I run. I got to stand my ground. So there, the dogs are all tethered to this, to this sled, and there's the musher, tangled up with a moose, and the moose is just stomping the dogs, with their hooves. He said it was, it was a nightmare, and he had to grab his, sidearm and dispatch the animal and yada, yada, yada. But, hey, it's a dangerous world out there, but congratulations on that. That's, I bet you have a freezer full of meat, and I bet you have a lot of friends that enjoyed that as well.
Yeah, I have a pretty full freezer.
Yeah, that's great. And so also, you also like to fish too, don't you?
Yeah, I like to fish. Archery is probably my favorite, but I fish quite a bit in the summer. Yeah,
and you're in the middle of Missouri, in this little place near Fulton. You have a daughter that is going through ROTC right now. Is that right? She's going to be an officer?
Yeah, she wants to be a PA. She's in the medical. She went through the National Guard, and now she's in ROTC. I mean, she went through combat medic school, and now she's she's halfway through her 4th year of college. So, wow. And she'll be commissioning, after she got a semester of school left. So.
You got that silver dollar already?
I don't really understand your all's officer rank stuff, but I'm more on the enlisted side. But I'll definitely be proud of her. However, I did guide her that direction, though. We all go through our life and we say this would be a good direction to go. If I knew any better myself, this is how I do it. So.
Well, that's quite an accomplishment. I'm happy for her, and I'm proud of what she's doing. That's great. Yeah. Well, I was enlisted first, so if so you got to give me a little bit of a break. I wasn't enlisted long, but I was private. I was Private McDaniel. I will tell you that. And for those of you that don't know the silver dollar, the way it works is, when you become a commissioned officer, you were an officer, you're a non-commissioned officer, but as you a commissioned officer, and you can only get commissioned one of 3 ways. You can go to a military academy, West Point, the Naval Academy, Citadel. There's a handful of them out there. That when you graduate, you are commissioned an officer in a branch of the service. And the Air Force Academy has one too. So Naval Academy, Military Academy, at West Point, all this. So those are a source of commission. ROTC, Reserve Officer Training, ROTC, is also a major source from which our armed services produce officers. And then the third one is direct commission. Oh, I guess there's a fourth. There's also officer candidate school. And that's also another way. And then direct commission, which doesn't happen until there's like wartime. But at the end of the day, when you get commissioned, and the first person that salutes you, the first enlisted person, I think it's the first person that salutes you. And in case you're a second lieutenant, so second lieutenants don't salute each other, and so it's going to be an enlisted person that salutes you. But when you get your first salute, tradition has it that you pull out of your pocket a silver dollar. And you return the salute, and then you present the silver dollar to the first person that salutes you. So that's kind of cool. You got to get her a silver dollar. I'm sure she's already thinking about that. At least I hope she is. It's kind of a cool thing. But yeah, that's what that's all about. That's going to be a great day. That's going to be a great day for you.
Since I retired last year, then I don't have to salute her, is what you're telling me.
I'm not saying anything. You're a mom. You're in charge. You're always in charge.
Yeah. So I'm very excited.
I bet you are. Oh, that's fantastic. And the other thing that I wanted to share with everybody, about you, which I just find, I find anybody who has a skill set that I don't have, which I got a pretty limited skill set, honestly. But anybody that has a skill set that I don't have, I have a tendency to admire. I just like, and I'll give you an example with you. You're an electrician. You're a journeyman, right?
Yeah. Yes, I'm a qualified journeyman.
Qualified journeyman. Like, and so the reason I admire that is because I first off, I don't understand electricity. I'll be honest with you. I don't get it. I like little simple things. Okay, I get, I can understand. But like, if you asked me to like rewire a house, I'd be like, dude, I hope you brought your lunch. Okay. Because one, this is going to take me a month of Sundays, and two, it's not going to be right because I don't know what the heck I'm doing. Right. And so for a journeyman, like, you even asked me to, like, the outlets, like, how they get worn after a while, like the outlets in my house, a few of them need to be replaced because they've been used, But if you ask me to do that job, I mean, I reckon I could probably do it. Okay. But there's a high probability that I'm going to get shocked in the process, and that scares the hell out of me. So I don't know what to do. So I'm not going to do that. But I appreciate very much so that you are, a qualified journeyman. Tell me about that. I mean, what does that really mean? What do you do with that?
I mean, I started out in the union, so I'm a big believer in trade schools. I was probably in the union for 12 years doing industrial, building hospitals, and we built from the ground up, running a lot of conduit and stuff. I worked at the nuclear plant for 3 or 4 months as a contractor, and I thought I'd kind of like this, a stable job where I'm not driving to different job sites every day. And I said, with my military expertise, I could, I have leadership skills, and I have the electrical background, so I applied to be electrical supervisor out there. And I've probably been at the nuclear plant for the last 11 years working. So as far as your outlets, my tools are getting pretty rusty. So since I've been a supervisor, but I do try to do some home projects, on the weekends and stuff.
I once upon a time, I this is probably, I would have to say, like, I don't know, maybe 8 years ago, I'm guessing. 8 years ago, so I bought a new washer and dryer, clothes washer and dryer. And when they delivered them, I just thought it was a matter of plugging it in. But the plug on the dryer, I think, was different than the plug on the wall. They had modernized it, like there's a ground wire there and all this. And so I go, I can do this. I thought to myself, I know how to shut off the breaker panel and, and all this. So I rewired it the best I could, and then I turned it on, and it worked. At least it worked for a minute. And so I thought I was real happy that I'd done it right. And that's not a huge job, but it's 220. Isn't 220? What's worse, 110 or 220? Which one really kills you?
I mean, it all could kill you.
No, see, there you go. It all can kill you. And so I'm sitting there, okay, I've got it working, but I wanted to move it closer to the wall, and in the process, some water came out of the old, there was some water on the floor, and I put my arms around the dryer, like I bear hugged it like this, and I started to jockey it back and forth to get it into its position, and it shorted out, or something happened, and it went right through my elbow. I felt it go right through my elbow and right down through my right foot, and it pasted me to the floor for just about a second.
Yeah.
And it scared the living out of me, and I was like, whoa, dude, that's how people die. Right there. That's how people die. And from that point forward, it's like, I'm not messing with this stuff anymore. I'm just calling a professional. My life is too short, and I hate it when I don't know what I'm doing. So anyway, but that's good for you. Now you work at a nuclear power plant now?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Wow. And you're a supervisor?
Yeah.
So what do you supervise? What are you supervising in a nuclear
electricians.
plant?
I have a group of electricians that work for me. I'm kind of like the middle guy, first line supervisor, get it from the top and the bottom. Is
it true that stuff rolls downhill? Is this same as in the military?
Well, I try to stop it at my level, but you never know what my day's going like.
The buck stops right there. I love it. Well, I mean, just to level the bubbles here for everybody. I think I said this at the beginning of the podcast, but I mean, You served your country for 20 plus years. You were a former first sergeant, retired as a master sergeant in the Army. You have a Purple Heart, and I'm sure are many other decorations. And now you're retired. You're a journeyman, a certified journeyman. You have a wonderful daughter who's going to be an officer in the Army, in the medical service branch. You are a volunteer for the Wounded Warriors in Action Foundation. You've been through our guide school, which is, no cakewalk. And you're out there giving back by leading these missions across the country. And not only have you done that, you decided to start your own mission, like your own event under the foundation's umbrella. Tell us about that, Crystal.
Absolutely. I'm really excited about it. I've been antelope hunting probably the last 4 years up in South Dakota. And I've been staying at the last campground for at least the last couple years. And I met Brad Nelson, who's a conservation agent up there that runs a campsite. And he said he'd allow us the use of some of their cabins, the conservation department would, so we could have a hunt up there. We're just talking over the fire one night, and he was like, "Yeah, I'd like to do something." I was like, "Me too. I've been doing this for a long time. I'm very familiar with the area." So I don't know. We decided to do an archery antelope hunt, and we talked it over for a long time. It was no decision we made lightly. So.
Well, so where again is this now? We're doing this in South Dakota?
Yeah, Belle Fourche.
Belle Fourche. I love that. Belle Fourche. There's some history in Belle Fourche. Mm-hmm. Lots of it, right? Yeah. For the West, when we settled, almost everything went through Belle Fourche. It was a route to the west going through Belle Fourche. So there's also, I'm guessing there's a river there, right? Is there a river?
Well, the Missouri River goes through South Dakota. I've been on it in South Dakota, but I don't know.
Wow. I'm going to have to, I can't wait for that. I think that's great. So how do you, I've hunted, antelope. I was stationed in Colorado for 3 years and gave that a whack. They're hard to hunt. I think they're hard to hunt, aren't they?
Yeah, they are for me. I am not successful every year I go out there, but they do frustrate me, and I keep going. Like, I can't let them win. I'm like, I'm trying to get. And I remember the first time I went out there, it's like they would be like 800 yards away, and here I am with a bow, and I'm like, okay, I got to get close. And you don't have a lot of terrain out there,
No, there's not a lot of cover either.
Yeah, there's a lot of public land. Of course, private land right on the other side of it, but there's a lot of public land. It's hard to get close on them. So you have to look for the right ditches, ravines, something you can get in to get around them. And I remember I was so happy the day I got 100 yards to an antelope. It's like, wow, okay, so that was an accomplishment.
Right, and you still couldn't shoot it because it was 100 yards away.
Right, I still couldn't get to it. So It took me a while to learn, and that's what I love, going out on my own, even by myself. There's something satisfying about getting something on your own. Or I like to learn from people. I like a little good mix. I like to have mentors. I'll go out with somebody on one deal, and then the next time I'll go by myself, because I learn just as much by myself as I do with them. And then I put that information together in my knowledge bank, and I get better at what I'm doing. So
I like that. I do the same thing. I actually prefer to hunt alone, and I prefer to fish alone too. Most of my time when I'm hunting or fishing, and this has been the last 17 years, is facilitating an activity for somebody else.
Yeah, right.
And so that's true. It's the life I've chosen. But that's why, for me, to be able to take some time and go do something by myself, and it doesn't mean I like being around other people. Like, I would love to go on a hunt, with other people, like maybe this hunt someday. But hunt alone. See, I don't mind coming back to camp and that fellowship. I actually like that. But hunting, to me, is, and fishing too, the solitary aspect of it is something that I enjoy. I enjoy hunting other people too. Don't get me wrong. But I think if you ask me, so I identify with that. I absolutely identify with that. So, I saw on TV once upon a time. I thought it was a great technique. I wanted to mention it to you, see if you used it or thought about it regarding antelope. But somebody was using these decoys. They were paper decoys that were very convincing. That looked like a big buck, right? A big antelope buck. And they used them, and they would creep up, hiding behind the silhouette of this antelope. Did you ever try that? Have you tried that?
I'm laughing. I mean, you know how all hunting goes. Like decoying works during certain periods, and certain periods it doesn't. And then some will just be curious, and others won't. On the same day. But I'm laughing because my friend Kay Jordan, she's a Gold Star mom, and I take her hunting with me every now and then. But
tell us what that means for those that don't know. Gold Star mom.
So she lost her son Austin in Afghanistan when he was 19 years old. And I called her up last night. We have Memorial Day coming up on Monday.
Yeah. God bless him. God bless her.
Yeah, thank you, Austin, for your service. Yeah. So I just couldn't fathom losing a son or daughter, at that age. I mean, none of us can.
No.
And so we kind of stick together, I mean, you got to call each other on holidays, and you know how it is, battle buddy system.
Yep.
And I take her hunting with me every now and then. But anyhow, okay, Kay shows up, and she's this one. She's from Texas, right? Everything in Texas is big. She got this big purse, big blonde hair. Love her to death. Would not mess with this woman. I mean, to carry, she's always armed. And she's quite a bit older than me, but gosh, I love her. And
so awesome.
She's got this. And one morning we're getting ready to go hunting. We're in my camper. I'll get to the decoy in a second. We're in the camper, and I look over, and she's putting on these skinny jeans that are purple. I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, well, the antelope don't care, do they? And I was like, oh my gosh. All right.
Now that'd be a sight to behold, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah.
Out there hunting antelope in purple skinny jeans.
Yeah.
A girl from Texas with big hair.
Yeah. So,
I like her. I like her already.
Oh God, you have to love Kay. Yeah. So I got her dudded up in the right gear, and we go over to the truck, and she pulls out this black umbrella. I said, what is that? She goes, I seen this on TV. She said, you use it like you're hiding behind a cow,
I like it already.
So we get out. This will remind you of the Army too. So we get out there to wherever we're hunting, the middle of nowhere, and we start getting our gear out of the truck. Well, of course, Kay's got a lot of gear and an umbrella. Okay.
And purple tight pants.
No, we took care of the purple pants.
Okay.
And she's over here dragging all this stuff out, and just so much stuff. And she's trailing behind me, dropping things and all this stuff, and I'm just like, okay.
Could be a long hunt.
Yeah. But she didn't bring the umbrella out again after that. But we tried it, and it could have worked, It didn't work that time, but that's what she was going to simulate, was being behind a cow. So.
Hey, in the Army, we talk about cover and concealment,
Yeah.
And cover is anything that protects you from, a bullet or a fragmentary grenade or something. And concealment is anything that conceals, your position, like camouflage or natural foliage, this kind of thing. So I get that right away. And I'll bet their eyesight, we're spending a lot of time talking about antelope right here. And I know very little about it. I don't want to profess to be an accomplished antelope hunter, because I am not. But I have picked up a few little tidbits along the way. And one of those that's really interesting about the pronghorned antelope is they could never figure out why it's so fast in North America. It's so fast. It's infinitely faster, maybe not infinitely, but it's a great deal faster than any predatory animal in North America. So the guys the scientists started thinking like, hey, nature has a reason for everything, right? There's a reason that antelope are that fast, but they're trying to scratch the head for why is it? You know what the answer is?
What's that?
Saber-toothed tiger.
Oh, okay.
How do you like that? I think that's super cool. So apparently the saber-toothed tiger, which has been extinct for a long, long time, was roaming what is North America today, and a very fast animal, which I can imagine. And that's why the antelope are as fast as they are. Nature, coded them or genetically they evolved that way to be that fast so that they could outrun the saber-toothed tiger. I don't know if that's true, but that's what I heard a biologist say once upon a time. So I'm gonna use that as my answer for why they're so fast.
Yeah, and so that's every time I go out hunting a new animal, because I did moose and elk last year. Yeah. The antelope, like every time I experience a new animal, I'm like, okay, what is their best senses? What am I going to be running into? Is it sight, smell, noise? Because they all kind of react different, and this antelope is their eyesight. They can see. I mean, they can smell too. You have to play wind direction, but they can see.
They have big eyes.
They have big eyes. They can see around, like on the back of their head almost. And when they all lay down, like they'll all be laying down in a prairie. They lay down like all looking, they have their own sector.
Good security. It's just, it's true.
Right.
Everybody, because the leader says, all right, everybody face out, take a knee, drink water. And they all star cluster out. I got sector Alpha King Zulu. Roger.
Right. Yeah. So if I had to give some advice, John, I'd say that it was another first sergeant that I knew in the Army that said, hey, I'll take you antelope hunting sometime. His name was Justin. And, I've been on events. I've been all different places. People are like, oh, come on out. I'll take you to do this or that. And we're all like, yeah, okay. Maybe I'll do that sometime. And we kind of just never do, know. Yeah. And I didn't the first year after he asked me. And the second year I went out, I said, I think I'll try this, and I've been doing it for 4 or 5 years after that. I got addicted to hunting, stalking, and, I don't know.
Well, I like to say in the program, I've been archery hunting since, long time ago. And I don't know how many years, many years. And I recently switched over to a crossbow because, frankly, some of my joints don't like, it's not an issue of strength for me. It's an issue of my joints not liking it. Okay. Sure. That's what it is. For me, anyway, to pull back a compound bow and hold it there. And it's one thing to do it once or twice, but you have to practice to be good, which means you have to go to the range, so there's more of this. And I just can't do it anymore. I'm sorry. So I switched over to crossbow. Sorry, but not sorry. Okay. So I switch over to crossbow and I get this Raven. And which is is manufactured. It's crossbow manufactured up in Wisconsin. And I had no idea what that experience would be like. I dealt with a lot of crossbows because we have Camp Hackett up there, and lots of people over the years have donated crossbows, and they've become very popular today. The reason I'm mentioning this is because those darn things, the one I have, is shooting arrows at 420 feet per second. It's like you can't even see it. It's so fast. Now, most compound bows are launching arrows at 325. And today they're getting close to 400. I get it. Technology's moving all around, and the speed is something the speed freaks are around every corner. So everybody wants a super fast bow. But at the end of the day, those crossbows, the one I have, I haven't ever shot at anything over, I think, 40 yards because I haven't had to. But I can promise you one thing, that you could zero that thing and effectively hit a target at, I'm just going to say 100 yards. I think 75, no problem. 100 yards, probably. I would have to practice and see how that goes. But my point is, with a weapon system like that, which is still archery, and I don't know what the rules in South Dakota are, because every state's a little bit different. But I would feel pretty darn comfortable humping that thing across terrain, with it or without an umbrella, and shooting something, at that distance. And I think that's as close, if you could get to 175 yards to an antelope, they're spooky as heck. You know that.
Yeah.
I mean, so, you figure with your compound bow, you got to be, would you take a shot at 60?
I mean, at a prairie dog, but nothing
You
bigger.
would, if you had a really good shot at an antelope at 50 yards, would you take it?
Yes.
Okay, you can do 50 with yours.
I mean, I'm going to try. If I've been walking for 4 days,
Right, of course you
trying to
are.
get close to an animal.
And you get 50 yards from him, and it's a good shot. You got a good shot. You'd take it.
Yeah, I wouldn't shoot a deer at 50 yards.
You wouldn't take it. You wouldn't shoot at a white-tailed deer at 50 yards.
No.
Well, God bless you. I like that. I've never done it. I've never shot anything with my bow over, I think, 40 yards. I think that's it. That's all I've ever done. Because I mostly hunt in the north woods of Wisconsin. Everything's real close and personal. But
Well, I have a light draw weight, so I can't, I want an effective kill on a whitetail. And
yeah.
usually I'm in a deer stand, so.
Yeah, I've seen some of your Facebook pictures, which are awesome. That part of the country is beautiful. And you have a farm, right? Right? You have a farm?
Yeah, I have some land up in Prairie Home.
It's not where you live?
It's about an hour away. It's in Missouri. It's close to the Missouri River also, so.
So you got big monsters, big timber bucks running around out there, right?
Maybe.
You wouldn't say if you did. I love it. That's great. Well, I've really enjoyed our time together here. I have. I'm going to ask you just one more question, Crystal, and then you can talk for as long as you want. I do appreciate your time. I know you're a very busy person, and you're probably on your lunch hour, so we appreciate that very much. But since you've been involved in the foundation and you've been serving other Purple Heart recipients on these events, if you would, please tell our listening audience about what that experience serving, continuing to serve or serving in a leadership capacity, going on these events and activities, and now you've created your own event and you're going to hunt antelope. You had a huge successful fundraiser. You did amazing there, by the way. You really did it first year out the block. I mean, we're all so impressed and thankful for what you're doing, because it's not easy getting somebody to give you $1 to support our combat wounded. It's really hard to do, and you did a great job at that. But tell us, please, what does this experience mean to you, in terms of why you do it?
Well, I believe that's part of the full circle of life. I've read books on it before, but I'm not sure. But giving back is part of making you feel fulfilled,
Mm-hmm.
And I think you get to a certain point in your life, you got to do more. There's something more to life, and you don't realize what that is yet till you get to that point in life. And I mean, I'm there. It's time for me to, I've experienced, I've been out there in the real world, and I've lived life, and now I just, I want to give back in some way. And I'm seeing how America is so great, and and giving back to. So the fundraiser I had, it was crazy. The first time I've done one of those, and it was an eye opener, because I've gone on all these events, and they're great and all, but I didn't realize what was behind every event that happens.
Mm-hmm.
So I went ahead and had my own, and I told myself, I started in November, and my dinner was going to be in March, and I told myself, I am never doing this again. Like, this has taken so much out of my life. I'm a combat vet. I need me time. I need that relaxed time, but I'm like busy all hours of the day trying to prep for this thing, and then at the end of the event, the night when everybody's gone and I'm sitting in the room all by myself, I'm like, I can't not do this again.
Yeah.
I don't know how I went from this to that,
Mm-hmm.
You're just like, oh, it's so much work, but it is a lot of work when you don't have a big team yet, like the first time you do something.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of got to go through it yourself before and wow, so I was amazed at my wild game dinner I had. I have all this moose and elk in my freezer.
Mm-hmm.
So went ahead and had a wild game dinner, all the support that showed up. I had a volunteer auctioneer, Brian, who I didn't, just somebody at the VFW is like, try this guy out. I'm like, okay, I don't know very well, but I'll try him. He's not certified auctioneer, but he showed up,
Mm-hmm.
and then once we got there, I had two other auctioneers in the crowd. They're like sitting on their hands wanting to help, and so now I got three auctioneers all, standing up, voicing their opinion. And I don't know, I had Kay there. I had a girl sing the Star Spangled Banner, Casey, and people. And then at the very end of the auction that we had, people were donating services. They're just like, oh, I just kept coming to the auctioneer. Let's do this. Let's do this. I'll donate 2 loads of gravel. Hey, I'll donate a house wash. I'll donate some Airbnb time. And I'm just like overwhelmed how moved everybody was and how they wanted to help and to bring this out for people to be able to help as well. I'm helping, but to be able to share that so other people can help, it was pretty great.
Yeah, that's the one thing I appreciate you sharing that with us. And I can echo the same, sentiments, having, done this a while. What amazes me and it kind of brings me back and rejuvenates my soul every time is people who do step up to the plate and they do give, of their time, their energy, their resources to help put on an event like this. And it's expensive business, it genuinely is. We're providing world-class outdoor sporting activities to our nation's combat wounded Purple Heart recipients. And we're doing that at no cost to them. And, well, you go, okay, so let's just say that somebody, Joe Blow, decides that he's going to go, he lives in Florida, and he's going to go deer hunting, archery hunting in Missouri, okay? And he starts to plan the trip, or she starts to plan the trip. There's airfare involved, there's baggage involved, there's lodging, there's chow, there's licenses. There's all these things that have to happen, to get one person to go do an event like that. And typically, if you were going to go do that for 3 or 4 days, especially if you're going to go on private land, you're going to have to pay somebody to do that, like a guide. And you and I both know, because we've done it, both have done it a lot. But an average event like that, an activity like that, is going to cost at least $5,000. I mean, at least $5,000. Okay, and we're delivering 4 to 5 combat wounded. So the total price tag on any event that we do, is going to be pretty close to $20,000. And you go, wow, well, that's a lot of money. Yes, but they deserve it. They earned it. They went off to some country, got wounded, rose their right hand, swore to defend the Constitution and the orders of the officers appointed over them, and they got wounded and had to take their uniform off, and in many cases, their dream was over and their life has changed forever. And I think, living in the wealthiest nation in the history of the world, that we ought to be able to provide one hunt a year for every Purple Heart recipient that we have in this country. And that seems right to me. That seems like that would be a good payback. Hey, if you're interested in the outdoors and connecting with your fellow brothers and sisters, and you want people to, that nobody acknowledges this, but we all want to feel like what we did was important and it was valued by the Americans in this country, right?
Yes.
I wanted that. I wanted it silently. I just wanted to come home and say, well, what I did, maybe somebody out there would appreciate what I did, right? And what a bunch of other great Americans did, from essentially World War II to present time. And so, this is an opportunity for Americans to give back, to support those that I think deserve it the most, the combat wounded. So we do appreciate everybody's support, and a big shout out and thank you to your entire community of support there. What you've done is nothing short of amazing. You're a great leader. We're honored to have you on this team, and very appreciative of what you did while you were wearing a uniform, and certainly very appreciative of what you're doing now after you've taken the uniform off. And I want to give you a sharp salute and a huge thank you. And just want to make sure that we recognize you accordingly, because you really are a great American hero, and we thank you for all you've done, Crystal.
Thank you, John.
I appreciate it. It was a great interview. I'm going to give you the last word. Is there anything you'd like to say? You can take a crack at me. Remember that funny hat I wore? For those that don't know, I had a beautiful buffalo hat on. I was very proud of it. It was a knit cap. It was freezing in Illinois. We were at a fundraiser. You drove your car there, and I had this funny, buffalo hat that I was very proud of, and it was freezing cold, and you just looked at it and said, "You know what, sir? That's a ridiculous looking hat." Remember that?
Yeah.
Every time I put it on, I have to think of that. It makes me chuckle.
But hey, if it's warm. And speaking of hats, so I really like Randy Newberg. Are you familiar?
Mm-mm.
Oh, he's on TV, I guess. But
Okay.
he's this retired finance guy, and he has this antelope hat, right? Because I'm all about antelope, and it's just a head, like, so you appear to be an antelope if you're.
I like it, like Jeremiah Johnson might have done. See, I'm already interested.
Right. So I was just like, oh, I want one of those, but probably because it's unsafe. Like somebody might shoot you wearing an antelope hat, which I don't think during archery, you're going to get shot by somebody, but during gun season, it would probably be unsafe. I'm not sure they manufacture them anymore, but anyhow, there is a hat out there I've been looking for, and it looks like an antelope.
I think the combination of antelope hat and purple stretch pants might be the way to go.
That's probably where we're doing it wrong, John.
I know. Yeah. You never know. Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah.
Well, listen, great job with everything. Thanks for being on the program. Godspeed to you and to your daughter there as she becomes a commissioned officer. It's really great. Keep doing what you're doing, and thanks again for all you've done.
Thanks for all you do.
Okay. Have a good day.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
To learn more about the mission of the Wounded Warriors in Action Foundation and how you can get involved, please visit our website at WWIAF.org or follow our social media pages on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Thank you for listening to the WWIA podcast and for helping us honor, connect, and heal our combat wounded Purple Heart heroes through the power of the great outdoors.
If you like what you're listening to here and would like to join our team in our mission to bring healing power and recovery to America's Purple Heart heroes, please become part of our Sponsor a Hero team by clicking on the link in the podcast notes or by going to WWIAF.org/sponsor. That's WWIAF.org/sponsor. Our heroes need you now more than ever. Thank you.